Do you struggle with anxiety or OCD and then something bad happens or traumatic happens or you have a loss? We're going to talk all about it. Stay tuned. That's what's up next. Hi, my name is Natasha Daniels, and I'm a therapist, and I provide support for people with anxiety and OCD. And I'm sorry that I have been missing in action for the last 2 months. My family has suffered a major loss and made a total different video about that. But I thought it would be fitting to come back here. I have been gone for 2 months on my channel to talk to you about how do you handle your anxiety or OCD when you do have a loss or a trauma or something bad happens to you? Because life happens, and we don't get to stay in a little bubble just because we have anxiety or OCD. Bad things can still happen to us. Upsetting things can still happen to us. Grief can still happen to us. And how do you make sure that when that happens, your anxiety or OCD or both doesn't take the opportunity to take advantage and kind of glom onto that and make it its own? Because it's important to realize that anxiety and OCD is opportunistic. And what does that mean? It means that it looks for opportunities, things that are naturally happening in your world, things that are upsetting or overwhelming or stressful, and it hijacks that. It glums onto that like a parasite, and it says, I want some of that. I can take that. That's good material. I can make so many new anxiety themes and compulsions around this topic. So I want to talk to you because we've been living this at my house for the last 2 months, and we're going to be living it probably for the rest of our lives. How to not let anxiety and OCD take advantage of the bad things that happen to you. So just a couple of tips that we've been working on at my house with my own anxiety issues and my kids' anxiety and OCD issues. The first thing is when something really overwhelming happens, it is okay to take a pause, talk to your therapist obviously, but it is okay to put a pause on everything else that you're working on, anxiety and OCD related, and focus on that trauma or that upsetting thing. Get maybe a different therapist to help you process your grief or your loss. Talk to your therapist about that and get some recommendations. It's also okay to be kind with yourself. And so you don't have to push yourself the way that maybe you have been doing with your anxiety or OCD. But these are the things I want you to look out for, because anxiety and OCD will sneak in there. So when you have something major happen to you, anxiety or OCD, and especially OCD, will look for patterns. It will say, you did that when that bad thing happened, or you were wearing this when that bad thing happened, or it happened on this day. It will find patterns that really don't make any sense and aren't part of the problem, and it might want to make that a thing. It might want you to avoid certain things that are bad luck, or it might want you to do certain things to prevent bad things from happening. So that's called magical thinking. If I just say this or do this, then that bad thing that happened won't happen again. Or if I avoid this or don't do that, then that bad thing won't happen again. That's normal in trauma and grief anyway, but you want to be even more aware of that, because if you already had anxiety and OCD, your brain is going to go there a lot quicker than somebody else. So look for those patterns, and you want to break those as soon as you can. It's normal to want to avoid triggers that have happened that might bring back those memories for you, and that's why it's good to work with a therapist on that. But over time, you want to start inching your way back to that so that it's not a permanent compulsion to avoid that or to do that, especially the doing. So if you're doing something that seems like it doesn't make a lot of sense, or it's just for superstition reasons to avoid something new from happening to you, definitely pay attention to that, because that's stuff that you want to make sure that you're not going to continue, because new compulsions can pop up very easily during this time where you are not keeping your eye on the ball. The other thing that I would just pay attention to is any of the thoughts that you're telling yourself. And so it's normal when you're having grief or trauma or something bad happening to you to have a story that goes on in your head that may not be accurate. And so you want to watch for those little lies that are popping up that are telling you about things that are not safe, especially when it's generalizing. So anxiety will like to generalize things. Well, that bad thing happened, and so now all of this is not safe. That place is not safe, or that time of day is not safe, or doing that activity is not safe. Watch out for your brain making big, sweeping generalizations that can impact your life, because that's what anxiety does. It takes one specific thing that happens and then it balloons it out and it says, now all of that huge big circle is bad and scary and not okay. And that can really move your life into this small little circle of paranoia where you're not living anymore. So those are just a couple of things that I want you to pay attention to when you're going through that. And I'm sorry if you're watching this because you are going through something rough. It is completely overwhelming, and I get that. And I think just on a total side note for grief and trauma, allow you and allow your brain to just experience the overwhelm, because there is no cute little simple tool or trick or tip that anyone can tell you that is going to make this sadness or pain go away quicker than it is going to go away. And sometimes with these really hard things, depending on what has happened to you, they stay with us for a lifetime. But our job is to learn how to survive and move on with this heaviness that we're carrying of what happened to us or what we've lost. And that will look different for each one of you depending on what has happened. When it's grief and you've lost somebody, that's a forever thing. We just don't want your anxiety or OCD to benefit from that, because that's not fair. You're already going through enough. And so anxiety and OCD doesn't get to ride on this gravy train and take advantage of you when you're already trying to keep your head above water. So I'll be back next week with regular topics. I know I owe one of you a topic on how to survive days that look the same every day. And I know that is something that a lot of us are dealing with COVID and being stuck at home, either in online school, online work. And we're moving into the summer where a lot of you might not have a structure and your days are all going to look the same. So I'll be talking about how to change that up a little bit and survive that. And I'm so sorry that it's late. I know it's been 2 months and I promised it would come out, but that'll be coming out next week. So I hope that you find the sparkle in everything you do. Don't forget to hit the bell and subscribe, because I am back and you're going to want to get notified when I have new videos. So take care, and I'll talk to you again next week. Bye.